unconscionable. As a mother, I'm a father of 2 sons, and we're expecting a daughter early next year. And I have to tell you, as a parent, there's nothing that hurts my heart more than hearing you face that loss. Not once, but twice. I'm sorry. And I know you've heard that, and you don't need to hear it again. You need to see action. But what I will tell you is there's a million reasons why I could tell you why a governor can't be somebody. This is a state and local problem. Enough. At the end of the day, you kick the ball, blame somebody else, you talk to the police, you blame the police blames the judge blames the backdrop of politics, and then the state government, you go to them, they blame the municipalities. Enough. I'll give you this word, all right? 2 years from now, a year and a half from now, I view you as holding me accountable. Ultimately, if it's in this state, if it's in a city in this state, ultimately, I don't care. We can talk about how we can work with localities, what kind of pressure we're able to apply. There's things we can do. But starting in January of 2027, all I can tell you until then is we're sorry. And starting then, hold me accountable to make sure that we're actually finally ending this wave of violent crime so no other mother has to suffer what you have. And I want to thank you again for being here and sharing your story. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to thank you for having the courage to come forth with your story. I'm a father of 5 children, lost my wife to breast cancer, but never could imagine the loss of a child. It's a different level. And so we extend our deepest condolences, and the prevention around it is what makes it so painful. There's a woman in our community by the name of Hope Dudley. If you don't know who Hope Dudley is, you should know who Hope Dudley is. She's a woman like an abolitionist for women and families like you, who's been working in Hamilton County and the city of Cincinnati and fighting for victims to get justice. There's one thing that she's been asking for, and I hope Hope Dudley hears me putting a voice to her name. She's been asking to place cards of people who have committed crimes into all of our Hamilton County jail systems, so that as they're playing cards, somebody might say, this is a cold case and I want to find out something about it and I'm going to cooperate. Do you know that Hamilton County will not allow those cards in the jail system? This was a major change because the cards were there and now they're gone. These are the basic steps when we talk about solutions that would make Hope Dudley and all the women that she represents and their families and their children on these cold cases. Meaning we need more detectives that are finding out who did what when and hold those people accountable. Mothers and families are still grieving like their murder happened yesterday. And we have a system that we're not funding to make sure that those families get the justice. And it's not about black. It's not about white. It's not about Asian Indian. It's not about Latino. This is about getting justice for our families, for people who have taken their loved ones away. So I will stand, work with Vivek, anything that he needs to support this. But to share with you, a step we can do right now is demand that Hope Dudley gets those cards into the system that she's been asking for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kelsey Riley. I am an attorney downtown at Keating, Meeting, and Cleveland. And I just have some questions generally about, I live downtown. It's crazy. I went to the music festival. There were barely any police downtown during the festival. And so, 2-pronged question for you guys. What specific policy changes are you or did you propose to the current leadership when you met with them today, Vivek, about how to actually reduce violent crime in this current city as it stands? And then my second prong to that question is, what incentive is there, do you think, for businesses to stay in downtown Cincinnati when their workers are scared to walk to lunch or scared to even live downtown? I commute 2 minutes to work, it's great, but I'm ready to get out of Cincinnati immediately. I'm ready to move specifically to the west side. So my problem is, do you see my issue? Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Yeah, look, let me address the second one first. Your question is, what incentive would you have to remain in the city of Cincinnati? I would not judge you harshly if right now you decided to move to the west side rather than in the city. But what incentive do you have? In 2025, help is on the way with Corey Bowman. Where is he? Stand up right there. I'm proud of you, man, for what you've done. And in 2026, the reinforcements are on the way when we actually make it to lead this state back to greatness, statewide. So that's what I'll leave you there. On the first question, look, so I'll be honest with you. I made a promise to the folks who were somewhat maybe reluctant to meet with me. That includes the mayor, includes other city officials we met with today. I told them, and I'm going to keep the promise, that my conversation with them was going to be private in that room so we could be very candid. And we were indeed very candid with one another. I'll leave it at that. But what I will share with you is my insights coming out of it for what specific policies can I share with all of you coming out of those conversations. It's a growing list, but it's common sense. Right? None of this stuff is rocket science. Rocket science is rocket science. And I say that, by the way, we're the state that put the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, born, raised, living in Ohio when he became the first man in human history to walk on the moon. That's hard. Right? That's a natural problem. This is not rocket science. These are basic man-made problems with man-made solutions. Number one, if you have a violent offender who's a known repeat offender, fix the bail and bond reform program to be able to actually keep them in prison, keep them incarcerated. Number two, make sure that our jails are not the top form of psychiatric health care by reopening psychiatric hospitals to be able to treat those who actually need serious mental health. Number three, empower police officers to actually do the job they swore an oath of office to actually do, and put more people into the police force to be able to actually close those gaps that we have in the city of Cincinnati and elsewhere, increase punishments where required, and to be able to actually have a culture that celebrates the enforcement of the rule of law rather than to villainize it with a tone that we set at the top. That's not an exhaustive list of solutions, but if we do those 5 things alone, we're going to have put a meaningful dent in the unacceptable rise in crime. And I will say this, with due respect to some who may disagree with me on this, I know disagree with me on this. I'm going to go to the facts. In Cincinnati alone, see, the reason that event less than 2 weeks ago, that brutal assault by a violent mob, triggered such a reaction wasn't that it was a one-off, because I think if it was a one-off, it wouldn't have mattered for a national attention perspective. It matters to every victim, but it wouldn't have mattered for national attention. It matters because it already exposed what people are already seeing every day. I've got friends through greater Cincinnati. I was born and raised here, texting me for the last several weeks. They're afraid to go into the city. I have a cousin who works in the emergency room at Cincinnati Children's. Her shift is 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. When she leaves, she tells me she runs red lights through certain parts of the city because she can't take the risk of feeling like she can actually stop. Okay? So you think about that is the experience that people already feel when something happens like Holly getting knocked out. It taps into that deeper truth, that deeper actual lived reality. And we have to have the courage to confront that with practical solutions. So we're not missing knowledge, right? Getting to Mars, getting to Jupiter one day, those are hard problems to solve. We might be missing the knowledge in some of those areas. We're not missing the knowledge. What we're missing is courage. See, Americans, we're a smart people, right? We have the knowledge we need to get done what we need to get done. The question is, do we have the courage to actually see it through? That's where leadership comes in, and as I said, in 2025, help is on the way in Cincinnati, and in 2026, help is on the way in the state of Ohio. Thank you. Yeah. And then we'll come
Ma'am, before you sit down, let me just say to you that elections have consequences. We're in the middle of an election cycle. We've had a mayor who decided that, knowing that we had a Reds game where you live, knowing that we had the music festival and other events, probably one of the biggest weekends of Cincinnati, decided to go to a mayor's event and then go on a vacation and then come back and lecture us about what we all weren't doing well. We have an election and there are consequences today. We have a man here who said, Corey Bowman, he's running for mayor. But we have many people that are running for city council that are in this room. Here's what I want to leave you with. The 9X system is not about voting for 9. The 9X system, if you're voting, you want to vote for 5 and leave the other 4 alone. Because what happens is our votes are competing against the people that we ultimately want to get elected. How do we have a president pro tem that puts out a message that says that the people who were assaulted were begging for it and still have their job today? Sparks needs to go. The president pro tem, all of us collectively, no matter your race, your gender, no matter where you live in our 52 neighborhoods, should be demanding that that is not the standard and she should resign even though she only has a few months left. We don't need that kind of leadership in the city of Cincinnati. So I leave you with elections have consequences. Let's make sure that November your vote is heard and that we rock the vote in November. Thank you so much.
We'll go here and then here. We'll go back. We'll go back here. We'll go back here and then we'll come up to the front row here.
We've heard some very heartbreaking stories, and we've heard some very general ideas and solutions. And it's going to take some time to do these. I've got a suggestion for something that can be done right away. I wish I could say this is original. It's not at all. It comes from the